So if we look more at the recruitment process, again, for me, this is a real good start point for engagement. It's all about recruiting the right sorts of people for your organisation, but also giving the candidate a really good feel of what's it going to be like, what's the culture going to be like, and that could be self-filtering as well. So when was the last time that you experienced your recruitment process? Many HR people have been working for their organisations for a long time, and it was a long, long time ago since they went through the recruitment process. So one thing I do as part of my consultancy is I actually apply for jobs with the companies that I'm working. I don't tell them, and I go through the recruitment process to see how it feels. Other little things we used to do, we used to have these things called talent cards. This worked particularly well in the customer service area. So you're out and about, you're shopping, you give all these cards to employees. If somebody gave you really good customer service, say in Tesco's in a restaurant, you give them a little talent card that says, you've been spotted, we think you're talent, come and join us. And again, this was a real hit with our staff because staff got involved in the recruitment process. We got a lot of great candidates. Can you imagine you're on Tesco's and it's a dull day and, oh my word, thank you very much. All about the experience that people go through. Now, talent cards might not work for you, but what is your equivalent in your organisation? What is your talent card? We used to do things like texting in an application. We were a mobile phone company, so you could literally, on a short code, text in, and then we'd ring you back, and that was all part of the experience. And then also, in terms of the magic, we had what was called our recruitment pack. Now, when I joined Virgin Mobile, I also, as I said, did some mystery shopping. I applied to Orange, I applied to Vodafone, and Orange and Vodafone all sent me their big corporate brochure that was their annual report, which is really dull. Now, Virgin Mobile wanted to do something similar, but not an annual report. So what we used to do was, we used to send them, and here's my show and tell, every single candidate got this through the post, okay? And then you opened it up, and inside was get to know us over a cuppa. And there was a DVD, a tea bag, and a Kit Kat. And the whole call to action was get to know us over a cup of tea. So people put the DVD on, and basically it was very simple. It was just people talking to camera at Virgin Mobile, and we asked them one question: what's it like to work for Virgin Mobile? Very simple, 2 minutes. Now you might be thinking, my gosh, that must have cost a fortune. The unit cost of this was about £3 per head. This was very effective. We deliberately sent it to home addresses because a recruitment decision is a family decision. And so, you know, partners and they could all get involved. Very simple. It's not a dull corporate brochure, but also really did give people a sense of this is what it's going to be like to work for Virgin. So that was just something different. Induction, also very important as we go through the life cycle. A week before you join Virgin Mobile, you got a welcome card. And if anybody knows moonpig.com, top recommendation for birthday cards, all personalised, so you can put the person's name in, you can put the company name in, and then what you did was get all the team to sign the card and say, we're really looking forward to seeing you next week. It's going to be great, you're joining a great team. And this is all part of the joining process. They then went for a VIP induction, and also as part of that, they got a welcome pack. Anybody flown Virgin Atlantic? Have a good experience? Good. So this was the welcome pack you got as you joined Virgin Mobile. And the whole point of this was to just give people a flavour for you're not just joining Virgin Mobile, you are joining a much bigger organisation. Now you will all work for organisations which have much bigger organisations behind it. This is giving the sense of the scale of Virgin and career opportunities. And of course, obligatory reading. You had to read the first chapter before you joined. It's a signed copy if you like one. And then inside you would get things that represented Virgin Atlantic. For example, there's the flight socks. You'd get an upgrade on Virgin Trains. You would get the mouse mat with the famous expression from when Virgin Records announced, I won't say it out loud. And then a video around Virgin Unite, which is the charity arm. But again, the whole point of it was to give people a sense that they're joining a much bigger organisation. Recognition, really important. I'm sure you've all got recognition schemes internally. I'm doing some work for a company up in Cirencester, and they've got an Employee of the Month programme where everybody submits They fill in six pages of forms about why that employee should. It then goes to the senior manager for sign-off. It then goes to the directors. It then goes to the board of directors, and they all sit around and they make a decision. And it's really dull. So the scheme we had at Virgin was called our Shout scheme. Very simple, peer-to-peer. Anybody could shout about anybody else if they'd done a good job. So if I wanted to shout about Brian for doing a great presentation today, I would have said, Brian, I want to shout about you. It's face-to-face. And I would shout, and I had a little shout leaflet that went to Brian. And then what we did was we put all the shout leaflets into a big prize draw. We had a big box and very central and very visible. And then every month we pulled out one shout completely at random, and they won a European weekend away. Now, the whole point of it was not the prize, it was the process around face-to-face, saying thank you. Everybody could do it, and it was a random draw. So we didn't get into this Employee of the Month where everybody goes, oh, I can't believe Jim won it this year, he's done nothing. It was completely random, and that was a really good, effective way. Of course, we had the advantage of having Richard. Every year, if somebody had done something which we thought was really in keeping with our values, they were fortunate enough to have dinner with Richard. Now think about your chief exec and your leadership team in terms of who could do that in terms of, and let me tell you, I mean, you've watched the programs like I've mentioned before when the boss goes undercover. Never underestimate the power of a chief exec picking up the phone saying thank you, sending an email or saying, let's go for breakfast, let's go for lunch. Really, really effective and really powerful.